an opportunity to participate. I hope that you guys are all having a great day. Welcome to the Kim Jacobs Show. I am so excited to have you all tune in today. Welcome, Ms. Vickie L. Evans.
Hello, everyone. So glad to be here.
And I'm so glad to have you here today. Listen, everyone, go ahead and grab your virtual seats. Make sure you tag a friend. Encourage people to be a part of today's episode. And once you share it, Miss Vickie, then you'll be able to cut your device off.
Yeah, taking it off now.
Did you share it?
Yes, I'm off now.
Okay. Well, so then that way all your friends get a chance to participate as well. Listen, everyone, welcome to this edition of the Kim Jacobs Show. Today, we're going to be talking with Vickie L. Evans, and it's a lot that we're going to cover. So I have categories that we're going to go through and give everyone a chance to participate by asking questions, sharing positive comments, sending shout outs to each other, and love to my guests. So go ahead and grab your seats. We're going to play some music right quick, and we're going to kick this show off right now. Yes, it is the Kim Jacobs Show, and I am excited to be here with you guys today. Right away, let me know that you're here. Just say, hey, I'm here. Type I'm here, because sometimes I don't get the opportunity to address people that are watching because I don't know that you're here. So you have to type a comment in order for me to physically know that you are part of today's broadcast. Today, I have with me Ms. Vickie L. Evans, and she is number one, a survivor of domestic violence. She's also a playwright and the author of multiple books. We're going to talk about that in great detail. And she is a motivator, teaching people how to have higher self-esteem. This woman is, if you've never, well, I won't even say the name of the play right now. I'm just going to let her talk about her own journey and her own story. But she is such a force to be reckoned with. And I'm so honored to have her today here on the Kim Jacobs Show. She's actually served as one of my coaches too. So I'm kind of like, I'm kind of nervous because I'm like, she'll judge you. She's like, go live right at it. So I'm like, I better focus. Welcome, Ms. Vickie L. Evans.
Thank you so much, Kim, for that wonderful introduction. So glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you. And the reason I didn't go into every detail is because I know it's a part of your story and I want people to go on this journey with us. So let's kind of break it down because there's so many different aspects to Vickie. And I want people to walk away knowing everything there is to know that you want to share today.
Ooh, everything
you want to share. So take us, first of all, back to where things began for you in life to the point where you want to bring us up to where some things started to change in your life that made you know it's time for me to make some changes in my life.
Okay, I'll start with my childhood. I am from Sugar Land, Texas. Woo, woo, woo. About 20 miles outside of Houston. And even though it has a very sweet name, there were some things that I experienced in Sugar Land that really kind of shaped my life. I grew up in a home. I'm an only child. And I grew up in a home that was kind of plagued with domestic violence. And so I saw my mother being beat quite often. And being the only child, her bedroom was right across from mine. So I was able to see that. Many nights I was awakened out of my sleep with the pounding of fist and my mother screaming. And the thing about my childhood that was really, really complex is that it wasn't only in my home that I experienced domestic violence. It was in our community as well. And I would tell people as a child, our playtime was often interrupted because we would be outside playing and we would hear and somebody would run and say, Miss So-and-so and Mr. So-and-so, they're fighting. And we would go watch as if it was a spectator sports or we were at a drive-in movie or something like that. And so, yeah, it was so because of what I experienced as a child, I didn't have a support system.
Okay.
And so therefore, getting help for that situation, like many others, it was non-existent. And, just like 1 out of 4 other women who experienced domestic violence, that was my mother. Those are the reported cases. My mother was one of the unreported, because many times we were on our way to the hospital and she would say, turn around. So she was never on record as a domestic violence victim.
Oh, wow. Okay. So growing up, you experienced this in your household because you witnessed it and seeing your mom go through it. And then also just in the neighborhood, everybody's like, oh, hey, such and such, such. It became like a part of the atmosphere, the circumstances of what you could kind of look forward to that day, that something was going to pop off.
And at any given moment, it could happen.
Wow.
So, yes.
Now, with your mom being one of 4, like you said, not even reported, there are so many people that are watching today's episode, whether they say it out loud or not. And even people that may not be watching because they're like, I don't want to be caught watching a domestic violence episode type of situation. And then somebody think it's me. Well, let's just all act like it's a friend that this could be happening to.
Yes.
You want to capture the information that's being shared today. And stay tuned, because she's not only talking about domestic violence, she's talking about acting, she's talking about Playwright, she's talking about being an author, self-esteem. So today's broadcast is for everyone watching. Now, Vickie, there are children that are watching, children that are seeing their parents go through domestic violence. What advice would you give right now as an adult, children that are witnessing stuff like this?
Well, the first thing I would give is the people around them. That's the important thing. Need to be very observant when it comes to that, because there are some signs if you watch. I mean, sometimes there's, they're very edgy, or anxiety, or bedwetting, or even them themselves, because they live in that kind of environment, they will fight. My story is a little bit different because I was an introvert. So another thing that I would say for me, I tried to hide it through overachieving, and most people don't realize that sometimes people are overachieving because they are trying to hide something or a traumatic event. So I went that direction. But for those who are around those children, because sometimes they are, like I said, they have no support system either. And if you're not watchful, and it could be other reasons why they're doing that, but more often, when you see a child who's very anxious all the time, or bedwetting, or fighting all the time, acting out, there's usually some reason behind the scenes that's causing them to act. I used to hear people say, or parents say, or other folks say, that child is so bad.
Right.
And that child is just so bad. And no one ever took the time to really evaluate, why is that child acting out? Why is that child? For me, I never talked. I was very, very introvert. Why does that child never talk? So it's more important, not just for the children that they are involved in, but the adults that are around them to observe and take notice. And even in the schools, the teachers observe those children and find out why they are acting out, as we call it. Or, send them to a guidance counselor or some kind of counselor who can evaluate why is Mikey doing this?
Right. Good. This is good feedback already. And I know people are already typing comments. So I'm going to, instead of just waiting until the middle of the show, because some comments apply to what you're saying right now. So I'll pop those in. June Griffith says, good morning, Vickie, from Brooklyn, New York. Welcome, June.
Hi.
Teresa Taylor says, some parents hide the abuse, and the parents may make everything seem normal, or the bruises are hidden in hidden places. Like, now that is so, oh my goodness. I'm glad you said that, Teresa.
That's true.
There are people that are so cruel. I don't know another way to say it. They're cruel, or they're hurting so bad that they need some significant help themselves. I don't want to judge anyone. So let me go back. What I'm saying is that that they may obviously need help themselves, that's why they may be acting out in the way of domestic violence or physical violence with their children as well, or with their spouses. But people know, my point being that people know where to hit people so that
Yeah.
it's not visibly seen by the public. That's like
Yeah.
methodical, isn't it?
Well, see, this is what I really need everyone to understand, because that's the point. Domestic violence is about manipulation and control.
Okay.
So it's a controlled act. So if it's a control act, then the abuser is going to do things because it's a mind game. It's all about brainwashing and the mind game. And that's why a lot of people, when they ask that question, why won't she just leave?
Right.
They really don't know the complexity of domestic violence, because it is. And another point I want to make, you used the word cruel. A lot of times, not all the times, some abusers lived in domestic violence homes as well. So they're emulating the behavior they've seen. And so they become abusers themselves. So it's a pattern, and it's a complex situation that really, really needs. That's why I'm here, a lifetime advocate for domestic violence, so we can raise awareness, so that we can be informed, so we can know that there are different types of domestic violence. It's not just physical, it's emotional, it's financial, it's sexual, it's spiritual. I know the Christian folks don't want to hear that word, but it's spiritual abuse as well. And that's the area that I deal with. That's the primary area that I try to deal with, is the domestic violence in our churches, because no one wants to talk about that, but Sister Girl will.
That's right. Well, Sister Girl is here today on the Kim Jacobs Show. Vickie L. Evans is here as Sister Girl to be able to share her truth and to help so many other people that may be in similar situations. And I did put down, thank you, Shannon, too, in the back office that put this up for me. October 1st observed, was first observed in October of 1981 as a National Day of Unity, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And that was the previous month that just passed, is when everyone has come together united as advocates across the nation in an effort to end domestic violence. So I know we didn't have you on in October, but I'm so grateful that you were able, with your schedule, to be on today.
Yeah, so, well, every day domestic violence happens. We focus on that month, but it happens throughout the year. So anytime I get an opportunity to talk about it, it's a great opportunity, because I don't want to just limit it. Oh, here they go talking in October. No, but it's happening right now. This very second, a woman is being abused. Wow. So we got to talk about it, and we got to make folks aware, and we got to get the bystanders to get involved and not say, that's not my problem. And as I say, I know it sounds like a misnomer, that's not my fight. Yes, it is your fight. It's your fight.
Well, it's my fight too here on the Kim Jacobs Show. And I want every woman, no matter what walk of life they're in, to be safe, because we should have the right to be safe and feel safe when we're at our homes and our churches and our relationships. And I agree with you 100%. So the domestic violence hotline number, in case anyone may be experiencing domestic violence and you need a safe place to reach out to, is 800-799-SAFE. 800-799-SAFE, which is 800-799-7233. Make sure you reach out to someone. Why is it important for people to reach out if they're experiencing domestic violence, Vickie?
It's important because, first of all, we want healthy relationships. Healthy relationships build healthy communities. Healthy communities build healthy states. Healthy states build healthy nations. So that's why I say all of us play a part in this. Everyone. And not only that, if we get involved in our local community.
Right.
You know, and the national hotline is great, but there are organizations and people like me, advocates, who dedicate their lives to dealing with domestic violence. I have friends who have grassroots organizations like Reverend Marguerite Lee of Beauty for Ashes. You know, mine is Performing Arts and Literary Society. We have people within the community who are survivors, thrivers, who are involved. And so therefore, you're not alone. There are people all around that can help with this situation. And if each one of us take up that mantle and help one another, I just believe that we are chipping away closer and closer to ending this situation. But we all have to get involved.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad that you have a voice in this matter, because I think your voice alone, in addition to the many others that will partner with you, will make a difference and bring in an end to domestic violence as quickly as possible. Now, did you personally come from a domestic violence situation as well, or did you more just see it with your mom and that made you so passionate about it?
So one thing that you should know, and I mean, I thank God that my story did change at some point, because the other thing that we're going to talk about, writing, is what saved me.
Yeah.
But it is, I would say, more than likely, those who experience domestic violence in their homes, many times as an adult, they also get into domestic violence relationship. I too went down that path, and even not as much physical violence, but the emotional, so much. You know, in my first marriage, you know, in dating. And because, once again, I always say this, because it was normal for me, as in my childhood, in my neighborhood, since that was normal, that's all I ever knew. So it became normal as an adult to accept that.
Mm, 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 mm. Well, I'm glad that you're out of it, and we're going to talk about how you pivoted and turned. I see a comment pertaining to the domestic violence component, so I want to make sure I put that in. Oftentimes, the abuse occurs because the abuser, Teresa says, has a guilty conscience and believes that the partner is actually doing what he or she is doing and takes it out on the partner, like a guilt transference. That's a good point.
You know, and I also want you to understand too, and that's a good point, but abusers don't need a reason to abuse. I mean, I know that doesn't sound, you know, like, well, why would they just do it? But they don't need a perfect example. Abuser comes home, house is clean, everything is in order, and he finds just one little thing to say, oh, I don't like green beans. Why you cook that today? You know? Well, we had that last week, but I don't like those. I meant to tell you back then. So you see what I mean? They don't need like a reason. You did something. Sometimes it's for no reason, because there is I always say there is a sickness, because batterers need help too. And a lot of times we focus primarily on the victims. But guess what? If the victims get healthy and they get counseling and they're fine, and the abusers don't, we still have a problem.
That's right.
So it has to be twofold. You got to get help for the abusers, and sometimes help comes in the way of jail. Okay, they have to go to jail. Because if we don't start making laws, strict laws, because domestic violence is a crime. It is a crime. Sometimes the solution is you have to go to jail so that she can live.
Now, y'all listen, y'all should be tagging a friend, tagging enemy, tagging anybody to let people know that this is very profound information that's being shared today here on the Kim Jacobs Show by Vickie L. Evans. And as she's talking about domestic violence, she said sometimes it ends where the abuser has to go to jail. And then you think they would get the help while they're in jail?
I'm just saying, as if it comes to her life, versus his, sometimes her life is spared because, hey, I'm going to report this. Right. He's going to go to jail and I'm going to live.
That
because
okay.
because the more you stay in that situation, the chances of death, and I just hate to say that, but it happens. It happens so often
Yeah.
that it ends in death, and that is just so tragic for me because that person, and sometimes the person do report it, but they keep going back. And before you know it, there we have a situation. So this is a life and death situation. That's why I talk about it so much.
It
It's
really is.
life and death.
It really is, because people, believe it or not, based on what I've observed, and I've seen some situations that I'm like, this is not good. That this is not going to
No.
end well. The writing is all over the wall. Can anybody
Yes.
see what I'm seeing? And maybe it's just me that's seeing it, but I don't see anything good in this situation.
No.
And so in some situations, I'm like, the thing that I often think is, what I've helped people get it. I don't want to go too far, but I've helped people in situations that I know I did a good job. I got them where they needed to be to safety, blah, blah, blah. You know, it was a sneak attack, try and figure out how to get them out. And I helped, because I was like, I wouldn't want to be in this situation. So yes, I will help you as best I can. And I help them get to safety, to a safe house or something. And then I find out that, you know, they notified a person of where they were. I was like, what in the world? It's
a brainwashing. Many times people will go back, and the stat says this 7 times, 7 times before they make that decision, you know, to live. And there are reasons for that. And you say, what in the world? Okay, he controls all my finances.
Right.
Well, I'm out here and I don't have no way to make it because I don't have any money. You know, there are some situations. That's why I say it's so complex.
It's so complex.
Yes. I have nowhere to go. I mean, and even if I go to my mom's, guess who's going to come there? You know, it's a very complex situation that if you don't have the right tools to escape it, you'll find yourself in a worse situation than that.
And then and you might be able to help with this, you know, as a person, as the expert in this area, or helping people with, because I feel like you're a lobbyist, you're passionate about this, you want this to end, and I'm excited to have you here today, Vickie, on the show. What about people that sometimes I think the people that are the abusers may not even intend to kill the person? They sometimes just, I believe, this is just what I believe, and I'm Kim, just my personal opinion, not on behalf of the Kim Jacobs Show.
It's good. This is a good discussion. So
I'm just saying, I can see some people, and I'm like, that person wouldn't harm a fly. They really wouldn't. I don't think they would kill. I mean, when I see different news articles, I'm like, I don't think that person would have killed somebody, but they might have even did it even by mistake. Do you see stuff like that?
So, I don't know, Kim, there's another, we're going to get to that later, but I have a play. And in that play, there's a scenario. It's called The Change Is Gonna Come. The scenario in there is that she was trying to leave. He was trying to stop her, but he was putting so much pressure on her, he didn't know he was killing her. So, I mean, he didn't mean to kill her. But then there's this other part of, too, that, there's so much going on in him that he ends up killing, so sometimes it's not with intent. Sometimes it's because he's just out of control. Well, I don't want to say that, because he is in control, but he, in the midst of that situation, harm is done. You can't say, you can see some victims are strangled. So if I'm strangling you, the chances of death is always there.
Right.
That's how bad it is. I'm strangling. Sometimes abusers strangle their victims because they want you to know, I can kill you. They don't mean to kill you at that time, but I want you to know that if you leave me, that's always the threat. I will kill you. Okay. And so those kind of threats should be taken seriously. We just had a case in Orlando, Florida, of a pastor that just killed his wife. And he told the brother-in-law before he killed her, I'm going to kill her. So you have to take those threats seriously. You have to.
So there is no playing, no excuse. Like, let me give you a pass on this. If you hear somebody say, and you tell me, that's what I'm asking. If you hear someone say, you know what, they're gonna make me kill them, I'm gonna kill him or something, then you need to report that, right? Or
Yes,
you need
I'd
to,
rather
what do you do?
report it than and save a life than not to report it and cause a death.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. Let me go. Now, this comment is going to cover the screen kind of. So I'm not being rude to you as my guest. I'm
That's
just,
okay.
okay. As a former counselor of abused women for the organization Help and Shelter in my home country of Guyana, abuse takes all forms. During my training, I became aware of abuse within my home, June Griffiths is saying. It was financial.
Mm-hmm.
Then it came together why I never liked Christmas.
Christmas time, holiday times, the chances of domestic violence raise.
And I wonder why do you think that is?
Oh, well, first of all, well, a couple of things. Even right now, what we're going through, COVID-19,
COVID-19, yeah.
the cases have risen because you're in there, you're isolated. And another thing, it doesn't cause domestic violence. I want to really iterate that. This doesn't cause a domestic violence, but it escalates it. Mm-hmm. You're drinking alcohol, it escalates, but it doesn't cause, because a lot of people say, well, if he hadn't been drinking, maybe he wouldn't. No. That's not the cause of it. But it's the substance abuse can be a reason why it escalates to the next level. So at Christmas time, you usually have that going on. There's pressure of the season itself, making sure that, gifts are bought, especially if there's kids involved. There's a lot going on during the holidays. So many times those cases escalate during the holidays.
Wow. Cassandra ONeal says, great show. Great show.
Hi, Cassandra. That's one of my cast members.
I love Cassandra. Domestic violence is a life or death situation. And that's Vickie L. Evans' quote. And that, yes, it is. Some are intentional and some are unintentional, but murder is murder.
Yes.
Yeah. Letting the abuser know where the safe house is located was a common occurrence in my situation. I know with Gabe's Heart Foundation, June, and viewers that are watching, we donate to safe houses on behalf of Gabe's Heart, doing it Gabe's way, but we're not given the location or anything. It's such a very structured, private, secret situation. And that's why sometimes when I'm doing it Gabe's way, random acts of kindness, I can do the random act, but I don't reveal where it was done in some cases because it is a secret. And that's amazing. Why do people reveal that?
So I'm going to say this right here. And I know people are, it's a very, I'm going to say, diverse statement. It's a thin line between love and hate. Well, you know that song? Okay. Yeah. So this is what I'm going to say to you. Okay. So there's a phase in this domestic violence cycle. It's called the honeymoon phase. So afterwards, and my father, I'm going to say he perfected that stage. So after the abuse is over, this is what they do. Presents, gift, your favorite thing, take you on vacation. Honey, I didn't mean to do it. I'm sorry. I don't know why I lost my temper. Please don't leave. We can see that in what's the movie? What Love Has to Do with It. Yeah, he would always apologize. Please don't leave me. Everyone who has been in my life have left me. You gonna leave me too? So there's a lot going on with that. I love my child. How you gonna take my child from me? And so a lot of times victims feel the guilt of that and they carry the weight of that. And so therefore their reaction is, and come on, the famous phrase, I love him. Well, I love him. I love him. And so that's why I say a thin line. I'm going to start saying it's a thin line between love and abuse. I'm going to take that hate part out because there is a thin line. What is this? Is this really love? And that's how I got out of my first marriage, because it was emotional abuse. I sat down on the floor and the Lord showed me this. It was like a movie. And then he asked me a question. Now you answer the question. Is this really love? So that's the issue there. Sometimes the victim has a hard time discerning the difference between, is this really love or am I being abused? And again, the definition for domestic violence is manipulated and controlled. That's what the victim is being, manipulated and controlled. And with that factor right there is why she picks up the phone and call him, or he calls her on her cell phone and say, baby, please, can you meet me? I can't do it without you. I need to, and there she goes.
Wow, this is such an educational show today. Again, as the balance doctor, everybody, I provide you all with pieces of the puzzle that you can put your life better back together. And here's a big piece of a puzzle if you're dealing with anything pertaining to domestic, physical, emotional, spiritual, any kind of abuse. Okay, so we are mandated by law to report any suspicion of abuse, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Especially if you're a clergy, a counselor, in any of those positions, you are mandated to report domestic violence. You are, but I'm just going to give that same mandate to citizens. If you see something like that, please take it as a mandate to you to report it. Just think about it. If it was your daughter, call 911. That's the easiest thing to do. 911. Hey, I'm here, right here. My neighbor is screaming. Can we get some help? You can remain anonymous if you don't have, if you don't want to tell. But please do something. Doing nothing is doing something. Doing nothing is doing, that's a choice too, because somebody else's life could depend on you if you do absolutely nothing.
Wow. Okay. Whew, this is so true. Myself and some I know have gone through this situation. God bless you. Mary Burton says, hello, Vickie.
Hi,
Mary. Very good at this. Like, hey. Okay, if you see something, say something, 911. And that's a quote from.
There you go, Cassandra.
Yes.
911. You don't have to even remember what 911. That's easy.
That's right.
1-800-799-SAFE. You have to like, oh Lord, where I got that wrote down at. But 911, that's easy.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so wow. I almost hate to pivot because I have to pivot to some other pieces to who is Vickie L. Evans. We might need to do multiple shows just to get the whole gamut of who you are. OMG. This is like I said, oh my G. Oh my goodness. This is crazy. And people need this information. So I know, please guys, share this broadcast. Make sure you start watch parties. This is such profound information that Vickie L. Evans is sharing regarding domestic violence awareness and how to be safe in this situation. Okay,
that's the key word. I know you're pivoting. Safe. Make sure you're safe. Don't do this on your own. Don't leave on your own. Safety plan. That's the key word here. Have a safety plan.
But how do you okay, because I mean then that takes me to the question of, okay, say I want to leave. Hey, I want to leave. Where do I begin? What do I do? What steps do I take? And I can't just go to the next topic when you're
it's okay. So 911, that should get you police officers, and they should be able to give you some resources. There's some resources in our community. There's a major organization, domestic violence prevention organization, Safe Alliance. Safe Alliance, they will help you. Community support services, they will help you. And especially, I want to say, community support services. They'll help you get a lawyer. They'll help you get, housing. Safe Alliance will too. All of the things. So if you go to one of those organizations, all the things that you've been thinking about, well, how am I going to do this? And how am I going to get housing? And how am I going to get a lawyer? It's all in that centralized location. So that's important. There are organizations, and that's why I'm always speaking out. There's always, and just think, if you reach out to someone or if someone, I'm a neighbor, but if, and I'm an advocate. So if one of my neighbors is going through it, I can help them. Or you know me too, or you'll say, hey, I know someone that I know that can help you. But the first thing you have to do is get help. And that's the hardest thing for a victim to do. Like I said, my mother, we went from the house on the way to the hospital. We had many trips like that, and we never made it to the hospital. And my mother never reported her abuse.
Wow.
So,
okay, so safety plan. Do not do this alone is what Vickie is saying. Thank you so much, Cassandra, too, for helping in the backstage today. Number 1, call 911 for help and resources. Number 2, get to community support services. They will help you with a plan, help you with legal advice and different things. And number 3, Safe Alliance. They will help you get all that you need to get safely out of the situation. This is excellent advice. Excellent.
Just one other point.
Oh,
even in your communities, like I said, there are grassroots organizations. A lot of us have our own organizations. We can help. There are a lot, and I mean a lot, against all odds. I can start naming organizations that I know who are personal friends of mine that, that's not, that can help you get the resources you need. So you just gotta speak out, because it's just like being there. There's resources all around you, but if you never say anything, then you can't get help.
And how do people get in touch with you, Vickie? Stay connected with you.
Okay, my website, first of all, my website has everything on it. My contact information, my email address, my social media, but I am on social media, and my website is my name, Vickie L Evans, EVANS.com, VickieLEvans.com. How simple can that be?
That's right. Vickie L Evans. Okay, thank you so much. VickieLEvans.com is how you will stay connected with Vickie. She gives all of the information where you can stay in connection with her. If you're in a situation and you're like, I don't want to go to the authorities right away, but I would like to just talk to someone or get in touch with someone and share my story and get some advice, reach out to VickieLEvans.com. She's at VickieLEvans.com, and she will direct you in the right direction. She's already directing you right here on the show by saying call 911. Yes. Safety is the first priority, is what she said. Don't worry about the victor or whatever, the people, the person that's the aggressor. Yeah. No, he's not the victor. The victim.
Abuser.
So the abuser, the point is you want to get yourself to safety, okay?
And your children.
And your children. That's very important. My gosh, my God, the children. The children are like sworn to secrecy, and they're like, you better not say anything, or or they're threatened. Some people are threatening the children. They're threatening the parent if the child speaks up. It's like, what kind of?
I will not only that, I will kill your children. You leave me, and that's their children. I will kill your children. So the threat is what keeps them there. I want someone to understand that, because I hear so many people say, why won't she just leave? The threat keeps them there. And that's what, let me tell you how complex this situation is. Even some who leave, that's why the safety plan is important. I'm going to go over there to Mama them. And then he goes over there. I have a case in Rosenberg, Texas. That man went over there, killed the victim, killed the mama too. So I'm just saying, you have to get to safety. Safety first.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay. So Vickie, there are so many hats that you wear. I think this will be probably the best place to talk about. Now you write these plays, and now it's interesting. Now I didn't know you. I didn't know you until I became an actress in one of your plays.
Yes.
And now I understand why you're so passionate about your playwriting. So tell us about your plays and how you became a playwright, and tell us about some of the plays that you write and what the messages are behind them.
Okay. So we go back to my childhood. The way that I learned to cope with my situation, because I didn't have a support system, I start writing poems. So I start writing, and then I realized I was good at it. And then so poems led to books, and then books led to plays. But I want to tell you, I cannot take credit for my play on domestic violence. I just really have to put in here that my journey has been spiritual. I have to put that in there. I cannot take credit. You know, a lot of people say, you could do this, you do this, but everything that I've done, I pointed to God. I have to, because even writing that first play, I was sitting in my bedroom just doing nothing with a bowl of cereal in my bed. Okay. And the Holy Spirit spoke to me. And for those who are not familiar with that, I understand. You're like, really? But that's my truth. It may not be your truth and you may not be familiar, but that's my truth. That's exactly what happened. Just as if Kim and I were having a conversation like we are now, the Holy Spirit spoke to me and told me to write a play on domestic violence. And so that's how my journey with the spiritual abuse and the plays began. And he gave me the name of that play, A Change Is Gonna Come. And then he led me in the direction of where I am now as dealing with domestic violence, the spiritual abuse. He told me to write a play, at no offense, Kim, about a pastor who is abusing his wife. I mean, and it became my reality, because at the time that I wrote A Change Is Going to Come, which is the name he gave me, I knew nothing, absolutely nothing about spiritual abuse. Nothing. And so he told me, he gave me the charge to write it. But a week later, let me tell you something about God. He always validates his words.
Always.
He always. Yeah. A week later, there was a case in Decatur, Tennessee, of a woman. Her name was Mary Winkler. 1 week later, the headlines read, woman in Tennessee, Decatur, murders her husband, Matthew Winkler, the pastor of such and such a church. So 1 week later, my mandate became a reality.
And so when you say spiritual abuse, can you elaborate a little bit more?
I sure can. So we say domestic violence is manipulation and control. When a partner, I'm just going to use it from that standpoint, uses the scripture, because our faith means everything to us. Our relationship with God. So that is the point they use to manipulate you, because they'll misinterpret the scriptures to make you fall in line with their agenda.
Oh my goodness. My goodness. Yes. Well, there you have it. That I would consider that to be spiritual abuse. And from what I'm learning from you, that's wow. And you hear that all the time. I mean, I hear that very often, where people are sharing the scriptures, but they're sharing it in a way just to benefit what they're trying to accomplish, what their agenda is. I'm like, that's not what that scripture means. I'm like, I don't know who you are talking about something out the side of your head. That's what that scripture means. That's why it's important for us to study and show our own selves approved, and being able to rightly divide God's word and the truth of his word. Just because somebody's saying something does not mean that that's at all what that means at face value when you further understand what that particular scripture means. Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, but here you have further confirmation of your mandate, Mother Patricia Lofton, who is over the North Carolina 2nd jurisdiction of the Church of God in Christ. And that's like the bulk amount of churches. She said, it's so true. God always validates his word.
Always, Mother. Always validates his word. Sometimes 2 or 3 times. You're like, oh my God. And that's what happened to me. And as I was obedient to what he told me to do, and I started to actually produce this play, I thought, at first I thought, okay, well, I'm producing a play, but so many women started coming up to me, crying, hugging me. You just told my story. Not only the women in the audience, my cast members started to come out and say, oh my God, our first, June 9th, 2007 is when I mounted my first production of A Change Is Gonna Come. That first cast, our first rehearsal, everybody was in tears. We had a big testimony service because they began to reveal, this is what happened to me, and this happened to me, and everything you wrote happened to me. And oh my God, it was just like, oh, I didn't know that I was led on that type of journey.
Right. Well,
yes.
your plays are not just average plays. And when I was in the one play, which is called The Gift is about a homeless. I let you tell what it is.
No, I want you to tell, because I'm excited because you want to tell it. Go ahead. Tell.
When I auditioned for a role within one of Vickie's plays. My son was auditioning, and one of the ways from a balance perspective that I encourage people to balance and bond with your children is identifying what are some things that they enjoy doing, and then, hey, either maybe overseeing some of it if you're able to volunteer with it, or maybe joining in by being a part of whatever they're interested in too. So since he's an actor, Jeremiah, my 15-year-old, I decided to go and audition for some of the performances with him. And this one play is called The Gift. And when I read the script and I learned the nature of it about a homeless man, he said the whole thrust of it is about this bishop pastor. He's homeless, but he's not worthless. He's talking about people. The gift is talking about people that may be homeless on the street, but just because they're homeless does not mean that they don't have value. We don't know what put them into the situation to make them homeless. You could be a very astute individual and find yourself in a circumstance that makes you homeless. And that's one of the plays that Vickie wrote, and it's called The Gift. And I was actually a judgmental, starchy accountant. And I was judging this one lady that was going after the pastor. And I was like, girl, I know that's why you ain't married right now, because you're always in the pastor's face. Every time you turn around, you gonna fry him some chicken and all of this drama you doing. Girl, get yourself together. Tell me you got a king size bed and you be happy to let the pastor stay at your house. You need prayer. Go ahead.
So let me just help out a little bit, because The Gift is basically a Good Samaritan story. And it is about a pastor who was on his way to a Christmas revival that he was invited to speak at. And on his way, he's mugged, right? At the same time that he's being mugged, the church, and we do deal with things that happen in the church. And, you know, there are some stereotypes in the church. And so these stereotypes are being played out right now in the church because they are preparing for the bishop. You know, they had never seen him before. So they was making our house. We getting it. He going to stay with us. He's going to do this. And in the meantime, when they leave the meeting, they didn't know that the bishop was already in town and he had been mugged.
See, I didn't know I was allowed to say all of that. I thought you were going to say, don't be telling me.
No, you can tell him. And he was mugged. And so the church folks, it's a Good Samaritan story. They rejected him and they was like, we ain't got time for you. And they passed by him. But the people on the street, the homeless people, they celebrated, they helped him. They not only helped him, they fed him. They offered him a sleeping bag, you know, every need that he had, they ministered to him. Yes, and in return, he ministered to them and helped them in their situation.
And he ministered to them. Now that's why you can't say no more than that, right?
Okay, that's all I'm gonna say.
No more than that, because if you ever when you come and see The Gift, you will not leave out the same way you came in. When you see the way that bishop, after the way the homeless people cared for him, what he did in return for them, when it was revealed that he was the bishop, my God, that whole environment erupted into praise. And The Gift became a Holy Ghost party is what it became. It was incredible.
And so let's tie my childhood and my mandate for Playwright. Let's tie that in together. So I want to say this. You don't have to live in your tragedy. Okay. You don't have to become your tragedy because of what I saw in my house. I didn't have to say, you know, woe is me and live in that and continue on the path of, okay, so I'm going to let these people abuse me. I didn't have to be a victim. I could be an overcomer. So what my childhood gave me the passion and the mandate to write my plays. And not only my plays, but my books. Because the other thing that I suffered from was low self-esteem. I had to get to the point at the age of 46 that I identified that my problem was I was suffering. Because if you're in domestic violence, just think that just chips away at your self-esteem. I don't care how strong you were before, how great you were. Professional women are abused. I don't care who you are.
That's
it
right.
does not discriminate. And so you cannot say, well, that would never happen to me because I'm so much stronger than that. You don't know.
You can't say that.
You can't say that. So it led me to my destiny of writing the plays and talking about self-esteem. It led me there because those are things that I myself had experienced. And so now I have a greater mandate. Plays. Oh my God. My journey from writing plays from Washington, D.C. to moving to Charlotte, North Carolina, I've had about 13 casts, different people. I mean, it has been incredible because I didn't know that day that I was sitting there eating that bowl of cereal, sitting in that bed, that it was going to lead me to the path that it did. One of my cast members is on this, is in the audience right there. I'm sitting next to another one. You know, I never knew that it was going to lead me on such an incredible journey.
Right.
And I'm glad that I said yes. And the self-esteem this year, I'm talking about that so much more because of my book, Know Your Worth, Overcoming the Dragon of Low Self-Esteem. This one right
here. Pull it out, Miss Vickie.
This one right here. Know your worth. Overcoming the dragon.
It's right there. You got it right. But yes, that's it. Let's stay right there.
All right.
Know your worth. Overcoming the dragon of low self-esteem. And you can get this book, and I'll be getting my copy. I'm going to order my copy today as well. Know Your Worth, Overcoming the Dragon of Low Self-Esteem. And you can get her book right on VickieLEvans.com.
Absolutely.
Get a copy of this book right on her website, and you'll be able to purchase that at VickieLEvans.com. Mother Lofton said, wow, what a revelation. Now, this is a revelation to one of the largest church state mothers. She said spiritual abuse is real.
Thank you, Mother.
Yes. Another confirmation. What causes so many men to abuse the one that they're supposed to love?
Oh my God. You know, I just wrote that. I have another book that's coming out that I co-author. It's 4 of us. And I just wrote that in one of my chapters. You know, how in the world could what's supposed to look like love turn into this? How is that? How do we get there? But once again, and we need to go back, if we haven't really discovered this, we need to go back and look at our generation. You know, it's almost like a generational curse. All the way back from slavery, we have been experiencing this. We have been, from even being raped by the master. We've been experiencing this type of abuse for a very long time, and it's carried from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. But I believe, God, that general curses can be broken. You know, we don't have to let that be our legacy. We don't have to let that be our dynasty. We don't have to say, well, this is what my history is all about. So that's what I am. I abuse because my daddy abused. You know, we have that line in our play too. My daddy, we have 2 characters, Pastor Seal and his daddy, Daddy Seals. You know, he abused, so I abuse. Okay, that generational curse can be broken. We don't have to carry that legacy, even though it's been a part of our past. So that's I'm going to answer that in that way. You know, I'm going to answer that in that way. And sometimes you guys need to really look at domestic violence also as a tool of the enemy. Come on, let's just talk about it. The tool of the enemy, because he would love it to break up what God consider important, families, marriages. He said, I'm married. He called himself married to the church. Right. So he talks about in the scriptures of having a bride and all of that. So marriage is important to him. So why wouldn't the enemy attack marriages? Why wouldn't he? And why wouldn't he attack it with unhealthy practices like domestic violence? That's just a tool that he uses. So we have to be wiser when it comes to that.
I do have another question myself, because I'm trying to understand why people that are abusers are not willing to hear even from people that love them. And it's like, I love this person, or I know somebody else that loves this person, or somebody else that loves this, and they know that people love them, but then when it comes to being in their business about something that you don't feel is what you're observing, and it may not even be abuse per se, but you may just be observing something that just don't sit well with you. And to me, if something doesn't sit well with me, I should say something to that person directly. I'm big on going to the source, not just
sometimes, and see the tools. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because some of the tools that we use, even in the church, you can't use that on an abuser. Okay. No. First of all, the thing that you said earlier, if you looked on the news and you said, because there's no face of domestic violence. Okay.
Right.
There isn't. So you looked on the news and said that person wouldn't hurt a fly. There's no face of domestic violence. Right. And so because his focus is on his partner, of course, when he's around you, he's going to be the nicest person, because you're not the focus. Right. I know some men. Even my dad was very popular, very, 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 when I say very popular, everybody loved him. If you go to my hometown right now, and I said it was Sugar Land, Texas, go there right now and mention my dad's name. Everybody's going to say, oh yeah, I knew Russell, he this and that, right? My dad was sick one time, he was in a rehab facility. When he got home, it was like a celebrity had just got home. There was cars lined up all on the side of the road just to come and see him, to make sure. And yet, when he was behind closed doors, he abused my mom. That was a whole different person. So I'm just saying to you, it is manipulation and control, and you need to look at it that way, because in everybody else's eyes, and that's why it's hard for some pastors to counsel couples like that, because you're like, that's my deacon. He does this. This is he's the nicest guy that you ever would meet. There's no way I can equate him with domestic violence, but it happens.
Okay, well, people are, thanks so much, Sister Vickie. This is so powerful. Lana says, true or false? Cassandra says, sometimes pride, shame, and guilt keep a lot of men from listening and admitting that they're wrong. Do you feel that way?
I think that sometimes, being a man, and this year I've had, I guess, a broader view of what men go through, because they're, even from a kid, they're taught so much. They're taught not to cry, not to show emotions. They're taught that they got to be the man, the provider. They got to be this. They got to be that. Yeah. It's so many you got to be. So I have a little bit more compassion for men than I used to, because I was in the victimized stage, so I couldn't see them as nothing else. But if you look at the pressures and the things that they have gone through, that they need someone to sit down and deprogram them. Deprogram their thinking, oh, she got to do what I say because all of that needs to be deprogrammed. And so that's one of the reasons. Yes, I would say pride. Yes, I would say, but there are so many other factors that keep them in that position. And why do they kill some of their, okay, I've lost control. She done left me. She's gone. I no longer have that control, and they feed on the control because they feel like worthless if they don't have that control. So that's what causes them to do what they do.
Well, what kind of advice would you give to people that are secretly watching this? They know that they're the abusers, and they're like, you know what, I'm that person that she's talking about today. And what words of encouragement would you give to that person, not just those that are being abused? Like you said, you got to fix both ends of the puzzle.
Yeah, and I would say to them, sometimes it's just like a drug addict. Until you admit that you have a problem, you can't get help. But the flip side is there is help. Now, there are not as many organizations out there who do batterer intervention, but we do have one here in Mecklenburg County. So reach out. There's help for you too. Don't wait until it becomes court mandated for you to go to a batterers intervention program, but there are batterers intervention programs. Try to find out what's making you act like that. I have a friend, she has a program for bullies, and most people don't understand, why would you be concerned about the bully? Because there's a reason he's a bully.
Right.
Okay. And so in order to help that person that's being bullied, you need to find out what's going on with the bully. Same with domestic violence. They need help as well. And so on both sides, we got to get help. Both sides. And I wrote this down earlier because God is always speaking to me. When it comes to self-esteem, I used to say that I'm a women's empowerment coach for self-esteem. I stopped saying that now. You know why? Because men have low self-esteem too.
Yes.
So we got to deal with them too.
So you're just an empowerment coach for self-esteem, whether you're male or female.
Male or female, because until we start to look at both sides of the coin, we can never solve or end this problem. If we get the victim well and the abuser is still sick, what do you think they're going to do? I have a case where it happened in my play. An abuser was married to my director. I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. One of my cast members come and audition. She was married to that same man. After he divorced that one that he had been abused, he went and got him another woman. And both of those women are powerful, educated, smart women. So that's what I'm saying. If we don't fix the abuser, guess what they're going to do? They're going to get them another victim.
Right.
So we got to deal with the problem, the whole problem as a whole.
Wow, Vickie. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, listen, we crammed in as much as we could cram in 1 hour show. I can tell you that Vickie L. Evans will be coming back as much as she wants to talk about additional things regarding domestic violence, forgiveness, self-esteem, how to be an actor, actress, and because she is, y'all, we didn't even talk about this in detail, but when she comes back again, this woman is a stickler when it comes to how to become a great actor and actress. And right now she's coaching my son, Jeremiah Jacobs, and she is doing a phenomenal job. His confidence level is soaring through the roof, and he's learning things he would have never learned had he not encountered Vickie L. Evans. So I want you to come back, Vickie, if you will, and talk about the plays and just talking about some tips for people that want to be actors and actresses. Come back and talk about whatever you want to talk about. You talk more about.
I'm just going to give you two more things. I do have some other books. This one is The Art of Forgiving. This was my very first book, and it deals with recovery from divorce. Okay, The Art of Forgiving. And then
go back for a second. Go back. That book, let me talk about that for a second. Because you go over a little bit more. I'm gonna get
there we go.
I'm gonna get all 3 of the books. I'm gonna order my books today, so I will have them in my possession. And The Art of Forgiving, I really want to touch on that for 1 second. You can take it down, Vickie. But the reason I want to touch on that is because, especially as Christian women, and when you're dealing with divorce, and sometimes when you're dealing with divorce, it's not something you ever intended to happen in your life, but it's something that is like, it's going down, whatever the reason is. I don't know what can be the reason that each person is experiencing what they may be experiencing. Read the book and make sure that you apply those tips, because Vickie went through divorce. And so if this powerful woman of God went through divorce and she's telling us about the art of forgiving in that process, let's take a look at that book. Go ahead to your next book.
And the very last one, for you who want to be great actors and want to be playwrights and all of that, How to Produce an Award-Winning Play the Non-Conventional Way. So, all of those are me.
All of these books, listen, all of these books, you can get a copy of them, which I'm getting a copy today. I'm going to order my copy. You can order right on your page, right?
Yes.
I'm going to order it, VickieLEvans.com. Please make sure you go and support her venture, everything she's endeavoring to do. You can get each of her books. The first one is Know Your Worth, Overcoming the Dragon of Low Self-Esteem, The Art of Forgiving, and How to Produce an Award-Winning Play, right at VickieLEvans.com. Wow, wow, wow. If you have not seen these performances, I promise you, I'm shaking my head like this because it's like you don't get it. That's what I'm saying. Not because I'm being contrary to what I'm saying out of my mouth. You must participate in being a part of one of those powerful, life-changing performances. It is a Broadway performance. Wherever you get a chance to see it, is really a Broadway performance done at a local level. Okay. So make sure you check out Vickie L. Evans. Thank you so much, Cassandra, for being on today too and typing some of our leader Vickie's points. And thank you so much, Shannon and Mackenzie as well backstage. That's been very helpful. Okay, let's make sure. Today, we also know we have Quest Church Prayer Line. It happens Monday through Friday, so you can pop on when you get off of today's episode. It'll be going on until 12:30. It's 978-990-5000. Access code is 322083#, and it's Monday through Friday from 12 to 12:30. I do encourage you all to subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show. Oh, ain't no way I'm gonna have no playwright performer on here and not move my. Do you mind I'm telling people to subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show and remove myself from the screen, ma'am?
Please, you guys, if you want informative information and great guests, please subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show, not only on Facebook, but on YouTube.
Do that. Subscribe, turn on your notification bell and select all. That way you'll be here anytime you want. Now, today is what? Today is already Thursday. My goodness, this week flew by. So tomorrow is Friday, and we know it's Freestyle Friday on the Kim Jacobs Show. We have Joe Duncan, who's going to be on doing some celebrity updates. Sean Hall's going to be on with a whole lot of political stuff. She's been like this on all since election day. So she's going to be on sharing some politics and education. And I also have the fitness expert. I'm not sure if they're going to be on or not, or my cooking expert, but I have experts in a lot of different categories that'll pop in and share their points. Vickie, anytime you want to come on and be an expert to talk about domestic violence, this is an ongoing thing, something that's happening every day. 1 in 4 people. This is happening across the world. If you want to come in on any Freestyle Friday, hashtag Vickie L. Evans. If y'all want to see Vickie L. Evans come on and share some points periodically to just help people learn about forgiveness, self-esteem, domestic violence awareness, acting, you can come on any Freestyle Friday and make a couple of quick points and pop off if you want, anytime.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for being my guest today. You have shared such invaluable information.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you all for watching, and tune in again tomorrow.